Welcome to the Modern IT Podcast with your host Christian and Michael.
Hi, and welcome to today's episode where we're going to talk about Azure Certifications and how you keep your skills updated in the ever-changing cloud today. And also we're going to touch on why businesses aren't moving faster to cloud and also what kind of challenges to face when they want to do it.
Okay.
So Christian, it's
here.
been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to have to try and do this at least every other week.
Every other week.
Yeah.
Let's have that as a goal. Yeah. Every second week.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So today's topic about knowledge about cloud. How do you feel about it?
It's interesting. You're always looking to learn more. So yeah.
Yeah. Somehow in our industry, it's kind of given that you will have homework forever.
Yeah. Basically, you never know everything, and everything is changing all the time.
Yeah. And it was even before with like new releases and updates every third year. So that was kind of what you had to ramp up for. And during those period, you always find new solutions to problems you had. But today, it's kind of essential that you need to be updated. And if we as consultants aren't updated, things will fail. And also the business needs to change how they operate IT because everything will change whether they like it or not. So yeah, it's an interesting change, I think.
Yeah, we're gonna have to keep up a bit more with all the information that is coming out.
So it's the Evergreen State, as they call it. If you look at Office 365, it's a perfect example of a solution that you just prescribe to as a subscription, and from 1 minute to another, things can change in your office tenant, and you have no say in that actually. So the buttons can move around, the GUI can change, the functions can change. And if you're a big business with several thousand employees and your send button in your Outlook moves, that kind of needs to be communicated somehow. That's just an example.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh, I get it. That's going to be a lot of support cases.
Yeah.
Through phone.
Yeah. So somehow you need to be, I don't know, in front of it. And that's the whole insider, if the desktop client world. They have something called Windows Insider. So to be able to keep your IT state in this evergreen world, you need to be proactive. And being proactive means that you need to have like test environments, or at least some kind of a setup that allows you to see the changes before they actually get implemented, so you can adapt your business accordingly.
Yeah, and also keeping up with the information out there.
Yes, and that's kind of I would say it's fun, but it's also stressful because you kind of can't just relax.
No, it never ends.
It's
always something. Yeah.
So, but if we look at cloud adoption today, like if we take small, medium-sized businesses, why there's from my perspective, there's two sides to this. There's the business that just goes full throttle to cloud because they are small, agile, and they can change, and they wanna get some business value quicker, faster, etc. And then you have the other same size business that they're not able to do it because they don't know how, they don't know what cloud is, and they also don't have the skills or don't know where to to turn to get the skills.
No, they're lacking in several fronts.
So that's kind of it's an interesting scenario, and it's actually the same for enterprises. That's also, but if you look at the big media push, or how do you say, media market manipulation, let's say it like that, that the big cloud vendors are doing, they're promising a lot to every business. But once you start that journey and you want to reach those promises, there's a lot of hurdles down the road, and someone needs to be able to pass those hurdles.
Yeah.
And that's usually the consultants or the IT within the business, because
correct. And they have to be up to date.
Yes, and that's the technical issues. Then you have the business issues, like with the organization and structure, to be able to adapt to the new ways of working. That's another discussion that needs to be taken somewhere. But if we just look at it from the skill set, how do you ensure that the people you hire or use in this transition are have the skills to actually perform the duty or the project? That's different.
Yeah.
And if we look at the Microsoft certifications, I mean, historically, it's always controversial with the certifications. Some hold them high, and some say they're not any valuable at all.
No, and yes. It really depends on the person, because it's kind of hard to know up front. We've all met a lot of people who have multiple certifications, and when it's time to actually work and solve a problem, they get stuck immediately. So it's not everything.
Yes, I mean, you can have every certification and actually have no world experience, and vice versa. You have no certifications, but you have worked with the stuff for.
Yeah. So the best scenario would be someone who had done the implementation before and knew the hurdles, and is certified as well.
So I mean, this is not something that I have, let's say, read in a manuscript or something as a source of truth. But I feel that Microsoft is actually doing some drastically in this. So just from the cloud perspective of the certifications, Microsoft have these numbers on their certifications. So one of the basic certifications for Microsoft Azure, not basic, one of the certifications for Microsoft Azure previously was called 70-535. That was for the architect. It was actually called 534 before, but they changed it to 535. That was a certification that you could take, and they changed them, I think, every 3 months or something, updated them. But still, if you took it, some of the questions you had to answer wrong to get them right, because if you were working with the cloud, with Azure, things changed in the cloud, and the certification questions weren't updated as fast as the actual product changed.
Yeah.
And I think that is a problem they will continue to have, because they can't align all of those usually, right?
Yeah, should be.
Yeah. So, but yeah, that's just the world we have to live in. But now Microsoft is actually doing something that they are splitting up these certifications to smaller chunks and having them aligned with your work task. So if you would be an Azure administrator, you have a track to follow. If you be a developer, you have a track to follow. If you're an architect, you have a track to follow. And then they split up in smaller pieces, I would say. And I think one of the goals behind it is to be able to faster update each certification. So, yeah, and it feels like it makes sense. I'm not sure able to pull it off. Actually, I think it will still be somewhat like previously, that the questions aren't updated.
Yeah, there'll be some lag, but maybe less, hopefully.
Maybe less, hopefully, yes. And also, since they're doing it, so now Cloud Azure has been so big. So previously there was only 3 certifications, and they're switching that up to more and smaller. So if you had 3 certifications before, you will have almost like 3 per track. And they're also doing something pretty good. It's called Azure Fundamentals. So this is an optional certificate, and that is more like, I think it's more for salespeople, that salespeople actually know how stuff works, but you don't have to do it hands-on.
Yeah, but that's a really good selling point for us technicians who really appreciate the salesperson know what they're talking about and not just selling in stuff that you kind of have to make work with workarounds and such, because they didn't really know what they were selling.
Yeah,
been there before.
Yeah, that was what I said, that the big cloud vendors are promising too much. That goes for salespeople also.
Yeah, for sure.
But anyway, so we look at the certification tracks. We can have some good links in the show notes that tells you what kind of certification tracks. If you want to be an Azure admin or an architect or a developer, there's tracks for you. But if you go back to like the original problem that we talked about, why businesses aren't moving fast enough to cloud, or actually moving at all. One of the biggest issues is actually having people knowing what they're doing. So I think that's getting better, because now people are getting more experience, and people are taking all of these certifications. Yeah.
Was still the issue with a lot of smaller companies and their IT staff. They might not even know what's out there. So that's when a consultant is good to come in and go through the new options and kind of make them rethink how they should set up their.
So if you would look at a consulting company today that kind of saying, yeah, we need to start doing more cloud work, this Azure, the AZ-900 certification that is more sales oriented, that you know stuff around it. That also is a good starting point for any company. Let's say all of our salespersons, or all our basically all technicians should take this certification as a starter.
Yeah.
And from there, salespeople can push the message out to all of their customers, and eventually, you follow up with the technique.
Right.
But yeah, that's also it's funny, because if you go out to a customer today and you start talking about Office 365, today you kind of take it for granted that everybody knows what it is. Yeah. So if you step into a room with 10 people and you're gonna have a Office 365 migration meeting, or a sales meeting, or the customer is on loose note or on on-prem Exchange, and you're gonna position Office 365 for them, where do you start? Do you start telling them that they get free gigabytes of Exchange mailboxes? Do you start talking about SharePoint Online? Do you start talking about the collaboration possibilities? I mean, if your going in position is that they want to move from Exchange or on-prem to cloud, and you come with Office 365, that it's so much more. So sometimes you kind of take for granted that people know what Office 365 is, and sometimes you step in the room and you get all surprised because it turns out they don't know at all. It's a fine balance, and I also think this reflects on all of the conferences you go to. Take Ignite, one of the biggest ones, is when you go to one of the talks, sometimes they're really basic because as a partner, you work with the stuff daily. So when you go into that session and they start talking about, really basic stuff, you kind of get annoyed.
Yeah.
But then when you talk to the people that was on the session, some of them think it was really great because they didn't know at all. So it's a big gap in how you position this. One of the conferences I was on recently, I talked to some people and they started saying, yeah, we need to start looking into cloud. And in my mind, I was like, haven't you done that already? But, we come from different.
Yeah. Different focuses and such.
Yeah.
So yeah, it will always be divided.
And 3 of the people I spoke with was from like banking, IT, running IT on big banks in Switzerland. So
Okay.
naturally, their world is non-cloud.
Yeah.
So it was a good wake up call for me. It's not all cloud out there. It's
No,
still
it's
a
not.
lot of on-prem.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but then again, if they would want to do something more evolutionary for the bank, use some of the innovative cloud services, they need to know what the cloud is, and if they're gonna start doing that once the business is coming with a request, then it's a big uphill for them.
Yeah, then they're lagging. It's better to know it beforehand.
Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Yeah. So the certifications, previously it was few, now it's more, and it's divided in tracks, keeping more updated. And yeah, if you're gonna go for the certifications, we're gonna talk about some coming minutes. So if you would want to learn Azure today, where do you go, Chris?
Good question. I used to go to Academy, the Microsoft Virtual Academy.
MBA.
Yeah, but they are closing.
Yeah, I can read it from what they say. To simplify your tech training journey, we're consolidating our learning resources and retiring Microsoft Virtual Academy phases, beginning of January 31, 2019. Yeah, and the complete site retirement is scheduled for later 20. Yeah, so they're referring to Microsoft Learn in this case. Have you tried that?
Yeah, I've checked it out a bit too, but I'm going to be more active this spring.
Yeah. So if, like we talked about before, that the certification changed because everything changed. Microsoft Learn is a good way. So if you looked at Virtual Academy, it was recorded, long recorded sessions, deep content, almost instructor-led sessions. That stuff gets outdated. But if you look at the Microsoft Learn site, it's smaller content. You could do some tracks in 10 minutes, complete tracks in 30 minutes, so on. And it's more section-based. So for an example, if you would look into Azure Storage and how to secure your storage with keys and so on, there would be a section about that. And if that changed, they could easily change that section in the Learn. And if you do you log into the Learn site and you do your training, eventually you will get updated that there's been changes in this. If you done the course, this part has changed. Maybe you should look in, and this way you will be able to keep yourself updated all the time.
That's a really great thing.
It is. I think it is, but it's also a shift in how. I mean, every person gets their own feel for how to acquire information and how to learn. And if this is a new site that you kind of need to be on.
Well, it's great that it's smaller sessions, because then basically every lunch break or something you can go in and go through a session.
Yeah, and that was kind of what we talked about before with the banking example.
Yeah.
If those persons running that IT eventually think that they will need to do something in cloud, and it's going to be Azure, I think Amazon and Google has something similar. But let's say, yeah, I'm interested in this. I'm going to take 10 minutes and look into this. And the thing with the Learn site is that it's actually interactive. So there could be some small parts that information. There could be a short video embedded from YouTube, of course. So they can change those videos frequently with a small introductory about the topic. And then they say, yeah, let's go create a virtual machine with a V. And then they will give you examples about command lines. And from the command lines you would use for actually provisioning the services. And from there, they give you a sandbox from the same page in the same site. You can spin it up and actually look at the stuff and access the
that's great.
Yeah, so you don't have to be able to do this this segment, you need an Azure subscription or a trial version or whatever. You can just do it right from the page.
Amazing.
Which is, yeah, it is. It is. I mean, kind of.
You don't have any learning easier because you don't have to set up the test environment and there was something wrong and you had to refix something or great.
It is. It's really cool and gives you quick insight. I mean, I've been working with Azure for quite some time now, several years, but I tried one of these learn tracks just to see, and I was really amazed how great and easy it is. If I'm working with virtual machine and I take one of those, it gives me some new angles I should consider, even if I've been working with it. But the great thing with the Learn site is that, okay, I'm pretty interested in custom Steam. Not that I'm in any projects that needs it at the moment, but it's a cool feature. And here I have a long learning track about a lot of Cosmos DB stuff I can do, and it's fun to actually do it. So I broaden my skills and my views, insights just by clicking around on the Learn site. And they have implemented this gamification, of course, so I get points for each track I do, each segment.
Right.
So
that is something everyone should look into.
Yeah, and if you were on Virtual Academy before, you will not be able to be there longer, and you get redirected to my.
All right.
Yeah, good. So
I think we're gonna put some links in
the show notes. Yes, and if you're interested, you can just go to docs.com/learn. And I think it's great that docs.microsoft.com have this vanity URL, docs.com, and then /learn for this. And in the show notes, we put a link to a quick tour about the Microsoft Learn site that Azure Friday put up. So it gives you some basic guidance, feel that you need. The site is really intuitive. So anyway.
Yeah. Well, we focused more on learning today as well.
And we talked about certification.
And we'll be back on track with features and other cool Azure stuff in the next.
And if we're going to close on something, a call to action, it would be, if you haven't noticed, go check out the docs.com/learn site to do some of the actual tracks.
All right. Well, that's it for today.
Yeah, I think that wraps it up for today. Learn new stuff.
Yeah. Go out and learn, and please leave us a message, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.